Hello, welcome to this episode of TurboShed, and in this one we're going to get rid of the puny little discs that the car has as standard, and we're going to put these monsters on. Yeah, this is the standard LS400 disc, and what we've found is that we've upgraded the power by like 3 times or something, and we're still on the standard brakes. And with a heavy car with 3 times the power it was designed to, it's basically dangerous. It's frightening because the brakes are terrible. So it's time to do an upgrade. So these are 296mm, 23mm thick vented discs. The standard LS400 ones with 2-pot sliding caliper, and we're going to get rid of those, and instead we're going to put these on. And after a lot of research and searching about, I managed to find these discs, which are the same stud pattern, they are the same offset on the height, but they are 323mm diameter. So that's some proper stopping power right there, and I managed to get a pair of these vented drilled discs, 20 quid, brand new, delivered, job done. So it would be rude not to put them on the car. These are off a Toyota Supra, I think a Mark IV Supra on the front, and the good news is they go straight onto these hubs and with the same offset, so that makes our job a lot easier from that side. So the only thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to space the caliper out in order to obviously take in the bigger diameter. And to do that, there's plenty of parts around. You'll have seen people make caliper spacers and such like. Nobody does one for an LS400 as far as I know. I have seen a design of one in aluminium that looked far too flimsy to me. So I'm going to design some in steel. So I think the first thing to do is we'll put these discs on. We will set the caliper up in the correct position in space, do some measuring, and then get on the CAD. So, discs off, first job. So here's the standard hub and our Supra discs. Look at that, sorted. They just go straight on. These are our 2 mounts, and all we need to do is, this is the sliding mount, and the standard it mounts here, and we're going to have to shift that out to about there in order to get it lined up. The position in and out should be the same because these discs have the same offset. And obviously on these the disc is 30mm thick as opposed to 23, but the height's the same, and actually the standard sliding caliper will take a 30mm disc, so I don't know why they put such thin ones on the LS400 as standard. So we'll put this on here, we will set the slider up in the correct position in space and do some measuring. So I've set the disc up on this side. I've used a clamp to put some new pads in, so it's on the right offset there, and actually the radius difference between the old and the new discs is close enough that the original slider I think will work without modification. I've put this G-clamp on here that just rests down onto the bottom ball joint so I can get the slider in the correct position around there. And that's it, that's all mounted. So all we're going to do is go to the back of this, do some measuring, and that'll be our measurements. Do a bit of CAD. Hopefully it'll all look okay. So this is the view at the back. You can see the difference in the hole, and that's the spacer that we've got to make up. So that's okay. Some billet steel, job done. So here's our trial fit on this side. So obviously I've got to mill the section out of here to allow the slider pull the bracket thing to go on there. And if we look at the back, see that? You can see the bolts going through here and those recesses that go around those parts. That's looking pretty good. I've got the mill running with the second one in there now, and as soon as that's done we'll mill these recesses down there. I think that should be done. I've threaded these two holes here, the same thread as standard, so they're okay. It's M12 by 1.25 metric fine. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. That's a solid proper job. Here we are. I've just done a trial fit and you can see it on this side. That's fitting very nicely. It's clear of everything here, and if we look at the back around there, you can see where I've recessed it for these lugs. So that's all looking pretty good. So the bolts for the caliper carrier go through from that side, and the caliper carrier will go on like this. So the next job we need to do is I need to mill a relief in this area here in order to set the caliper carrier back the correct distance for the disc offset, and that should be 9mm. So back onto the milling machine to mill this side, 9mm off there, and I think these brackets are done. We've milled the back of this out on the distance, so that's it. That's our steel bracket. That's nice and solid. I'm very happy with that. I think the design's good. I think it would work in alloy as well for this design. There's enough thickness. But anyway, I had again, you know, this is all built out of bits from the scrap bin. So I'm pretty happy with that. Here's our pad carrier. The disc just fits in this gap here with about 2mm clearance. So the only thing I've had to do is in here where the anti-rattle springs are, top and bottom. The anti-rattle springs actually hang over onto the inside, so what I've done is, just using a die grinder, is I've slightly recessed them where the spring areas go, so I can set the springs back a mil, and I've bent the outside of the springs to put a bit more tension on to keep them outside. So by doing that, it all fits. So that goes on that way up like that, and this bracket goes on the car like that. It fits together like that. So I guess this is it, the moment of truth. We'll assemble it up, and hopefully this will all fit now. Another modification I did on the pad carrier, just slightly, is that there's extra material cast on here that doesn't actually do anything, and rather than machine the brackets different left and right, I wanted to keep the same bracket left and right. So all I've done is just ground off that radius that was on the outside of there, and just cleaned up this edge slightly to give it enough clearance. So that means we can use the same bracket left and right, and I think that's a pretty easy thing to do. Just grind that. No, I think it all looks okay. So one of the problems I've found with the discs, or the only problem I've found with the discs, is that they are 62mm hub, which I thought the Lexus was, the LS400, and it turns out the Lexus is 60. So there's a millimetre play between the disc and the hub, and the bolt holes aren't big enough to hold the disc central. So what I've done is I've put 3 tapered wheel nuts in to centre the disc, and checked it, so it's running true. But if we take wheels on and off the car, which we do all the time being a drift car, the disc will fall down and it won't be central. Now you can put a shim up the centre, but that's only going to be 1mm, and that's going to be a real pain in the butt every time it comes off. So the easiest way to do this is to use a drill, and I'm going to drill through in a couple of places, in different places to those holes. And then I'm going to put a couple of countersunk M5 screws in, which will hold the disc central and there's no wheel on. Obviously when the wheel's on, it's clamped up anyway. So the best thing to do is to drill through both parts 4.2mm, take the disc off. I will then drill through the disc 5mm and countersink it, and we will thread the hub, and that means that we've got a couple of screws just to hold things in place. M5 should be okay, the discs aren't very thick, and I'm not sure I'd get an M6 head in. I've also got M5 countersunk screws in the drawer. So it doesn't matter too much where they are, we'll just drill them through opposite these ones that are here, and we'll be good to go. Here we are with the disc carrier on, and you can see to the springs it's tight, but it's all clear. And from the back, I think that looks great. You certainly couldn't get a bigger disc in there. Just a bit of clearance here. We've got just a bit of clearance here. So we'll copper slip the pads, stick those in, and then we can put the pad carrier on, which is laid here. I'm pretty pleased with that. So there we go, that's it all assembled. So standard LS400 calipers and pads that we've got on. We've got the Supra discs, and that looks splendid. I think I'm just going to try the wheels on. I know the 17s should go on. I wonder if the 16s will. We'll put a wheel on and check the clearance. Well, there we are. The 16-inch wheels won't go on. I didn't think they would. The 17s go on. The standard Lexus ones, there is about 4mm of clearance between the caliper and the inside of the rim. You would not get a bigger brake in there, and there's a bit of clearance, there's 10 or 15mm to the spoke. So that's it, everything fits, everything works. I'll quickly put the other side together, and I think we can go out and test this, and at last we should have good brakes. And the good news is that this cost, well, although it's cost a day's work, this cost £20 delivered for the discs, because I got them as old stock, and the pads cost 16 quid delivered. So for £36, I think that is probably one of the best brake upgrades anybody has ever done. I'm looking forward to trying it on the track now. So thank you very much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed watching this one and seeing how we've done the brake upgrade with basically no budget. You can spend £1,000 and get a brake upgrade kit for an LS. There is a company that does them, but we did ours for £36, and I know which one I'd rather do. There we are, happy days. I think at last we've got front brakes to match the power that we've got going to the rear. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, tell people about what we're doing. It's all there for free, there's no adverts or anything on our channel. Nobody supports us, we do all this ourselves. And thank you all for your kind comments. So keep at it, cheers.